Hey, good morning, students. I wanted to upload a video about the M-Step since our Chromebooks weren't able to log us on yesterday in class. This is a page that is linked in our M-Step practice assignment, and what you're going to want to do is go into the online tools training. From there, you have a few different choices, but you guys are going to want to click on sample item sets and then grade 3. We'll practice English language arts because that's the first test we'll take. And when you click on it, you're like, well, what's my username and password, Miss Bazik? The username and password samples are right up here. So you're going to type them the exact same way you see them. ELA3SAMP. And then the password is test1234. And you can go ahead and sign in. This is very much like the real test. It'll usually have your exact name on there as well as your grade. It'll have your birthday, student ID number. So you'll get a card on testing day that has all of this, and then your screen will match what your card says. Continue. It says the following test has been scheduled for training. So this is just a practice. This does not count as the real thing, but again, it looks a lot like what the real test will. So I'm going to click on ELA grade 3 sample items. Next thing it's going to do, it's going to take me through some important directions. It's going to ask you to test out different features on your Chromebook. Just like at school, you'll have to test the Chromebook to make sure things like the sound work.
If you can hear my voice, select the Sound is Working button.
So that's just a simple test just to make sure that the sound is actually functioning so you can hear passages that or parts that are read to you or spoken to you. Next, it's going to walk us through some of the different tools that we can use. So I'm going to click next. It will actually have you read the directions during testing day. For now, I'm going to suggest that you kind of look through at these key icons. For example, the question mark is our help button. Anytime you need help with directions, you can click on the test directions tab. And then to move in the test, you're always going to use your navigation arrows. So next moves you to the next question or direction. You'll have a pointer tool, which you're already using as you start the test, and it just tells you that that is your primary way of selecting answers. You'll also be able to go forward and back within a section. So once you finish a section, it will say stop. Do you want to continue? And then it'll let you on to the next section. But once you say you're done with something and you don't want to look at that passage anymore, you cannot go back to that passage once you've gone on to the next one. So just an important thing, really making sure we double check ourselves before we click next on the M step. You'll also have the option to turn pages. So for example, if you ever see a green arrow, it'll be turn a page. A yellow arrow will be go back on a page, which are definitely different colors than our next arrow. Okay, these are the primary tools you'll be using. You have a pointer, which is again just your mouse. Cross off, which I would strongly suggest using because it gets rid of poor choices. And it doesn't hurt you to use it. It's actually going to only help you. You have a highlighter tool to focus in on important content, a magnifier for charts and graphs that you want to see better, and then a line guide, which is actually like a line that scrolls down the page. You'll also have sticky notes, but I never suggest using these. They're more distracting than they're helpful. In fact, you'll have a piece of paper during the test. You can write on that if you need to take notes. You have a help question, but during the test, there'll be myself and sometimes another teacher who will be walking around, so you can just raise your hand and ask. And then an eraser will get rid of anything that you've marked up the test with so that you can see the test as it originally was before, let's say, you started highlighting it. You also have a pause button in case you have to go to the restroom during the test, and a resume for when you come back to class. And then when you're completed and you're done, you'll get an exit button, which you always just want to raise your hand before you click because myself or another teacher will come over and just make sure you're actually done with what you need to be. We're going to begin the test now, and what you'll notice is on the left side, it's kind of like ReadWorks. There's a passage which you can scroll through. It's not just the top part. It's a full story that you have to read, but they'll ask you quite a few questions on it. So as you can see up here in the upper left corner, this is one of 6, which means there's probably about 6 questions about this passage in the set. Okay, the next thing is the directions are always up in the upper right. So it says, read the sentence and directions that follow. Children and adults can work together. Choose the 2 details that best support this conclusion. So this story must be something about kids and grown-ups working together, but you have to read it in order to find out how. Now, just to point out some of the tools that are on the top side, you've got a highlighter, so I can go through and highlight the author's name. Not really a useful thing, but something I can do. I have sticky notes, which I don't really suggest, so I would stay away from those. As we saw, this passage doesn't have any charts or graphs, so I don't really need to magnify anything. You can clear all highlighter. You can make it kind of big. You can make it super big. But again, I really don't need that right now. And then you also have a line guide, which is kind of cool. Let me show you. That drags down from the top, and it just helps you keep track of where you are in the story. So let's say I'm stopping here because, ooh, I think this is going to help me answer the question. I can go to the question and come right back to where I was in the passage. But again, super important that you read the entire passage before we start answering the questions. Today, all I want you to do is try it out. See how the tools work, check out the questions. You can even do the whole test if you'd like. And then your assignment is just to write me a question that you have about the actual test. Good luck. I hope you guys enjoy.